growing up in the South in the 50s and stories that I've heard from my ancestors about relatives who lived through slavery and how they was treated, it sort of like rushed at me like an oncoming freight train to bring the story home. It was so real and now to see it in print and see factual evidence of stories that I heard as a child, it had a profound effect.
I'm Jewish American, and the man I live with is Afro-American. We've been friends for many years and living together for the last 15 years, and we're involved in the everyday pressures of dealing with what I call our residual depressed patterns from the past and moving forward and becoming more productive and functioning more productively. Of course, we have our residual higher level of functioning also, our strengths, so to speak. So although I see in his behaviors patterns that go all the way back to slavery, in the here and now, I can't think about it because I want us to both become stronger and leave some of that behind. But being here at the exhibit reminded me of the history that, as I said, I haven't had much time to think about in the past few years, and the internal development that he is always a part of, very much an integral part of, which is very separate from my internal development, from my own cultural background. And I'm happy to be impressed with a re-understanding, not just from what I had learned in the past, but a deeper understanding, a more complete understanding of his experience.
I think all good exhibits can cause other people to become sympathetic or even empathetic to the situation, and I think that this exhibit did do that. I was able to relate in a way that I've never really been able to before, but also just feeling a greater empathy towards these people, and considering that it made me think about if I were at that time, would I be one of those people who came and went to the minstrel shows or who mocked those who were of a color, and whether they were free or slaves, what I would have done in that position being a white person. And in my art history classes, we've been studying a lot about ethnographic images and how white men use them to show their superiority over other races, and how that has altered my vision of how I view other people, and how, whether we all look the same or different, we're the same.
I think, it really takes a look at values and from struggle and who benefits from people struggling. Right now, I believe in modern day slave times, we have the prison system, and seeing who benefits from that, and are we going to choose commerce or our conscience in order to decide certain things. So I think it definitely became something. I'm an elected official, so it's something that I think I will use to say now, okay, well, who's this benefiting from? People struggling, people in poverty, people suffering.
It gained us a lot of knowledge inside African American studies. We really love this experience. I'm definitely taking my children or nieces and nephews here in the future.
Yeah, you learn really a lot. Like,
bring my mama.
Stuff that you never knew before.
They always talked about Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, but we never heard such things.
Exactly. They give you like so much details, and they get to the root of the problem and what went down, how we were treated, and all this other. It's just massive.
Amazing. Like,
I suppose I wasn't aware of how much it was involved with the slavery trade and how much the divisions were in New York. But the major impression is that I'm embarrassed in Australia we're not doing anything towards legitimising or recognising the Aboriginal issues we have in our own country. So this is a step well ahead of anything we've done so far.
I'm in the process of researching my family's history for my personal research and a part of my African American History organization. I just did a DNA testing. I'm at that level, and I thought this is a very personal experience for me. As an educator, as a community networker, as an African American, yes, the perspective is very, very personal. Very, very personal.
The cruelties that were exhibited against and exerted against people of color and those who were their partisans, just astonishing, even for one who comes from the portion of the country where I'm originally from. I think one thing too, it shows that these things are ingrained in our memories, and they continually inform part of our consciousness. And again, this is a well worth revisiting and becoming aware of and acknowledging the fact that it's still in us, and we've got a long way left to get out of it. And we've got to go back to that dance hall and start dancing with each other again.
It gave me a very strong perspective on my personal experience, and this is because as a Black New Yorker, I've worked in several locations in Lower Manhattan, Wall Street area, and in a lot of organizations I was the only Black person there. Still today, in many organizations, it is still that way, and we find that we have to work twice as hard to get in the doors, and a lot of times you're not accepted still. But I see these things are getting a chance, and I'm grateful for that.
The exhibit really brought many things to life, because when you read it in a textbook or learn it in class, you miss out on individual lives and the details from groups of people, and especially groups of people that are forced to move a lot, marginalized groups that make you really connect with the subject. So I guess I feel like I have a much fuller understanding now of New York and its people and America. I learned many things that I didn't know, especially about the financial background of lots of New York institutions that persist to this day. So that was wonderful. I am inspired and hope to learn more.
This is a part of my history, personal history, and family history. And it's good to see some of that documented. Some of these people here are in fact my relatives. The exhibit adds credence and credibility to what had been anecdotal information passed down from the generations of my family. I come from one of those New York Black families, for example, who lived in Seneca Village, not too far from here, and that had actually lived in New York since 1827, the year that slavery was abolished in New York State. Now, my family did survive the draft riots of 1863. There are some artifacts among my clan, but certainly coming here and seeing it here at the New York Historical Society does add quite a bit to the overall fabric of how I, Eric Williams, fits into the fabric of New York and thus American society.